Hello friends and not yet friends, welcome back to my little corner of the internet. Today we're going to be talking about movies, and not just any movies. We're going to be talking about horror movies. I personally wouldn't consider myself a huge horror gal because there are just so many things in quote-unquote traditional horror movies that I can't get into, really. I scare pretty easily, and there are just way too many traditional horror tropes that I personally absolutely cannot cope with, like jump scares, home invasion, certain portrayals of paranormal stuff. I cannot absolutely cannot do it. However, as a lover of weird and odd things and a strange child, I have always been quite fascinated by the genre, and over the years I have found a few films here and there that I do very much enjoy and that I can watch without further damaging my brain. I've watched all of these multiple times. That is how much I love them, and I don't usually tend to rewatch movies a whole bunch. I'm more of a series person versus movies, and I'm sure there's way more movies like this out there that I would absolutely also enjoy too. I just haven't discovered them yet. So if you happen to have any recommendations for me that are along the lines of what I'm about to talk about, please do let me know. So without any further ado, let's get into my top 6 favourite horror movies as a certified scaredy cat. By the way, these are not ranked. None of these are niche picks at all, I feel like. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm not trying to be the most niche horror girly on the market. All of these are quite popular, I'm sure. Also, none of these are new releases. I think the newest one I'm going to talk about is from like 2010. So everything's been out for a while. I'm still going to try and keep this video as spoiler free as possible while still kind of telling you what happens, just in case there's anything that maybe sounds interesting that you haven't had a chance to watch yet. And I think now we're gonna actually for real get into it. My first movie is Black Swan. I remember when this came out, it was huge on Tumblr, which is how I discovered it and why I ended up watching it. And even now, like 10-15 years later, I still think it is quite popular in that sort of girly crash out movie genre bubble. Black Swan is about Nina, who is a ballerina in New York City. One day she gets the chance to dance or play. I don't know, I'm not in the ballerina world. One day she gets the chance to dance Odette in Swan Lake, and it's like that's like her dream. But then the director, or whoever he is, decides that this other dancer named Lily might be better for that part, and Nina just like completely crashes out. Like I said, it's a girly crash out movie. There is some blood in this movie and a little bit of body horror. I loved this movie the first time I watched it when I was like 13 or 14, I believe, probably because I was an insane 13-14-year-old with unsupervised internet access, and I still love it because it has gorgeous imagery, probably also because I'm still an insane preteen somewhere not that deep inside, and also, as you're about to see, I love a good girly, good for her crash out movie. I have a list on my Letterboxd that is called Good for Her Horror, and I think this is the first film I put on it. Up next is Ginger Snaps. This technically is a trilogy, but for the sake of this video not ending up 100 years long, I'm only going to talk about the original one, which also happens to be my favorite, and I think it is also the best way to keep this whole thing as spoiler-free as possible. So Ginger Snaps is about two sisters, Bridget and Ginger. Ginger one day gets bit by a dog, and after that she starts acting really weird and getting really aggressive and growing hair, and I think you can kind of guess where the whole thing is going, especially with the cover I just showed. And her sister tries to find a cure to help Ginger. As for gore, I don't think there's anything like crazy graphic. There is a dead dog and you can see its intestines, so that's a bit and there's also a lot of blood and some vomiting of blood, which personally I'm not super sensitive to, so I can't really say if it's really, really bad. Yeah, if you can't handle looking at blood, maybe take this as a warning, proceed with caution. I did not think it was that bad, though. So, like I said, there is both a prequel and a sequel to Ginger Snaps, which are also really, really good, and I really enjoyed watching them, but I fear covering both of those as well as everything else would make this video entirely too long, because I can simply never shut the fuck up. So I will just leave it at saying there are 2 more films in this trilogy, and I also really, really enjoy both of them. I actually got into Ginger Snaps because of my friend. They are her favourite movies, and I got her the DVDs for Christmas, I believe, one year. And I had seen like gift sets and photo sets and stuff of it on Tumblr, because it is a very Tumblr-y movie. Like, if you know, you know. But I'd never actually cared enough to watch it back in my like intense Tumblr days. But oh my god, I am so glad I did, because they truly are gems and I love them a lot. And I'm also a sucker for movies that are about teen girls going the fuck through it. Speaking of, up next on my list is probably my favourite film of all time, Jennifer's Body. This movie is about Jennifer, who is like the most popular girl in high school. She's a cheerleader, she's hot, she's gorgeous, she's all that. And her friend Needy, who's like nerdy, but they've been friends since like kindergarten, so they like stick together. One night, Jennifer gets possessed by a demon because of a ritual sacrifice gone wrong, and she starts seducing and killing boys from their school. As with pretty much everything, there is a good amount of blood in this movie. Slight bits of gore here and there, nothing insane, not like close-ups of intestines or flesh or whatever. You can see her rip someone's intestines out, but it's only like a shadow. But there's definitely a lot of blood. Yeah. As with everything I've ever enjoyed in my entire life, I also discovered this movie through Tumblr when I was entirely too young to watch it. I think I was like 12, probably not 13. I was probably 11 or 12. Unsupervised internet access is crazy. Actually, there is kind of a funny story behind why I ever even watched this movie in the first place, that I think I've only ever told one person this up until this point, I guess. So I follow this person on Tumblr, and one day they got an ask that was like, how did you figure out you were into girls, or something like that? And she replied that she always kind of knew, but that one scene in Jennifer's Body kind of confirmed it. Something like that. So my little gay ass, who was so entirely too eager to speedrun figuring out who I am, my identity, and all those good things, decided, okay, well, this is clearly a very scientific approach to figuring this whole thing out. So I guess I'll have to watch Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried make out for science, you know? It's for science. I love everything about this movie. It's campy, it's funny. There's this one token goth guy who is really, really cute, who kind of made my whole scientific approach to watching this movie to figure one thing out very, very difficult, and ignited a very innate bisexual panic inside 12-year-old me. And also the soundtrack is so, so good. I talk about it probably every chance I get. I'm going to try to link it somewhere. I know it's not on Spotify, or at least it wasn't for years in my region anyway. So I'm going to try and link it somewhere if I can, because if you've never listened to it, you should. It is, I don't want to say it's life-changing, but it is pretty good. It's actually, yeah. I even got the soundtrack on CD last summer because it really is that fucking good. Up next is American Mary, which I think is the first quote-unquote real horror movie on this list where I haven't seen anyone debate about whether it is or is it a horror movie or just a psychological thriller or whatever. American Mary is about a med student named Mary who gets pulled into the world of underground surgery because they are good money and she needs money for med school. Side note, I hope these like mini summaries are even remotely helpful. I feel like I'm not very good at summing things up without spoiling things and not feeling like I'm leaving out everything, but that's like the plot and you're supposed to want to watch it. I don't know. I'm trying to not be super crazy vague, but also not spoil anything. So I hope they're somewhat helpful. Anyway, for my fellow scaredy cats, this movie is a lot scarier and way more intense. There is a lot of gore, there's a lot of blood, the surgery scenes are pretty graphic, and there is also a rape scene, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend you watch this if you are also sensitive to traditional horror themes like I am. With this one, I'm having kind of a hard time trying to pinpoint why exactly I like it. I think it is somewhere in between, or like a combination of it being that kind of good for her genre, and also the fact that it's written and directed by a woman, which is, in my opinion, very noticeable when you watch movies, and I tend to enjoy movies written and directed by women a lot more. I just like it. I'm not a good film critic, I'm realizing. Love this movie though. The next film on my list is The Craft, which I also discovered through Tumblr because of course I did. It has that very, very wonderful quality of 90s horror thriller, whatever. This is one of the films I've seen people debate about whether it's actually horror, but like I said, this is my video, this is my channel. I say it counts as horror, so it is horror, at least for the next, I don't know how long this video is going to be, 15 minutes, 20, I don't know. It has that wonderful 90s horror quality that I personally really, really appreciate, of not just trying to shove the goriest, bloodiest images you could possibly imagine into your face, which is what I feel like a lot of modern horror is. It's scary because of the things you don't see, or whatever. So The Craft is about Sarah, who is a new student at an all-girls Catholic... Is it an all-girls Catholic school? It's a Catholic school, I just don't know if it's all girls. Anyway, it's about Sarah, who is a new student at this school, and she befriends 3 girls who she later finds out practice witchcraft together, and they only use witchcraft on the people who annoy them. And Sarah soon discovers that joining the coven was kind of a mistake on her part. In terms of scariness, it kind of reminds me of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where it has themes of things that could be seen as scary and creepy, but it's not like overall super scary. But if you watched it with a small child, they might get scared, if that makes sense. That's kind of the scary level here. It has been a while since I watched it, so I'm a little fuzzy on the details. I don't think there's any gore. There is some blood, but I think that's it for the most part. There's nothing too graphic and upsetting as far as I can remember. Again, I discovered this movie on Tumblr, so it has a very special little place in my heart where I keep everything that I loved as a preteen and as a teen, and it's never gonna go anywhere. Is it the best witchy movie ever? No. Does it have that weird like aftertaste of a little bit of satanic panic? 1000%, absolutely. Did I have a crush on Nancy before I realised that liking girls like that was an option, so I just really thought I wanted to be goth? Yeah. And my final pick for this list is Fire Walk With Me. This movie is a prequel to the happenings of the TV show Twin Peaks, and it kind of portrays the last days leading up to Laura Palmer's death. Obviously, there's going to be some spoilers to the show Twin Peaks, so if you haven't watched that and you would like to watch it spoiler free, I would recommend you watch the first 2 seasons, then Fire Walk With Me, and then the 3rd season of Twin Peaks. If you don't care about any of that and you just want to watch a pretty good movie, just watch Fire Walk With Me. There are kinda graphic depictions of violence in this and some jump scare-ish scenes. I don't really know how to describe it. It definitely is creepy, but not in the way you'd expect, or at least that I would have expected. It's definitely creepier than Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is more like mysterious and quote-unquote weird, whereas Fire Walk With Me kind of has some actually like scary, creepy, whatever scenes, I guess. The actual scariest thing about this whole fucking movie is that goddamn monkey. I don't even have beef with monkeys like some people do, but Jesus Christ, that thing is creepy as hell. I think it only has like maybe 15 seconds of screen time total. It only shows up twice, but it scared me so bad both times. I had to like physically cover the TV with my hand because I could not watch that thing. And it's just a fucking monkey. I did watch this movie a long time ago and didn't really care for it then, but when I did my Twin Peaks marathons last summer, of course I had to watch this along with the show, and I did really enjoy it. I technically rewatched it, but I did not remember a single thing from the movie, so it felt like I was able to watch it for the first time, and there's a bug. Great. So I kind of watched it for the first time a little bit, and I did really like it. It's more of like a psychological thriller situation versus getting like gore and blood and home invasion shoved in your face for the entire runtime, and it makes you feel uneasy more than actually scared. Or that's how it made me feel, I should say. I think that's the best way I can put it. Which is also like exactly the type of horror movies I'm personally into. It's either like unsettling, weird, creepy, or campy, almost satirical are like my 2 realms of horror that I really enjoy. So if you know any movies like that I didn't mention, please do let me know and tell me about them in the comments. I would love some movie recommendations. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. If you enjoy these types of videos, please do let me know by liking this video so that I know to make more, and maybe consider subscribing if you would like to see more from yours truly. As always, thank you ever so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!